Welcome back. This is still the Premier League preview show, and today the motion for the debate is, does the international break really affect the rhythm of clubs? We're asking whether the international break affects rhythm of clubs. Some clubs don't like the international break because they feel that just when they are picking form, boom, they have to go back and start all over again. Others see it as a great way to get a bit of a break, think, and then reset the system and go again. So, guys, where do you stand? Yeah.
I think it's a little bit overblown. Yeah, that it knocks off your rhythm. The only reason I'll say I'll give them, yes, the bit about, yeah, it knocks off your rhythm is it being contingent on injuries. Because the international break is not that long enough to rewire everything that you've built, that your club has built in you over the time period that the season has run. And if there's going to be some kind of lack of rhythm on their return, on players' return from international break, it's just down to injuries. Because if you have a system where you have plug and play players and they get injured or they pick up some knocks and injuries and they can't be available to play, then you have to bring in different players. The gap in quality, that's where the lack of rhythm will come in. Because if, for instance, Man United has Casemiro playing and Eriksen playing, or they are starting, and both players pick up injuries on international duties, and their replacement is Fred and McTominay, definitely you have issues. And it wouldn't just be a midfield issue. It will be a total team issue, just as we've seen from Man United in the past, 3 years, that because the midfield is weak, the defense is consistently exposed. The goalkeeper consistently has to overly breach and get a lot of saves made before Man United can keep a clean sheet or can concede fewer goals. And that's how come you have Man United being a little bit off. So the lack of rhythm, I think it's overblown, but it's just, I will pin it down on just injuries and nothing beyond that.
So effectively, you are saying that if players go for an international break
minus injuries, I don't see there's a lack of rhythm.
Okay, Susu?
I disagree, and I'll say it's also dependent on the club, their players, and their nations. So it's a very complex issue. It's not a simple yes or no issue. So I think for the bigger clubs, who most of us focus on, yes, it does matter. But I think for the smaller clubs who have, let's say, 2 or 3 players going international duty, how does the international break affect you? You actually have more time on the training ground with your players. But if you are, let's say, a Bayern Munich, where of your 25-man squad, 20 or 19 are internationals, that's clearly a problem. Then you can also, that's why I want to also add the nationality part. Let's say you are a team in Europe, and your top players play in the Americas. So Brazil, Argentina, let's even add Canada and the USA now, because Mexico, and they are flying halfway across the world, playing 2 matches, 2 90-minute matches, because they are key players for their national teams as well, and then flying all the way back. It will definitely affect your rhythm. And they will come back tired, so you might have to rest them a bit more, manage their minutes in the return back. So it really depends on the profile of the club. So, for example, if Casemiro was not suspended, him and Lisandro Martinez going on international break, if Brazil and Argentina were playing in South America, I believe they are playing friendlies in Europe this international break, so it wouldn't be a problem. But let's say we are in the middle of World Cup qualifying, you go back and you have to play 2, sometimes even 3 games, depending, because remember after the COVID period, they were playing 3 games for World Cup qualifying international windows. So imagine back then when Firmino and Fabinho, both, and Alisson fly to Brazil, play 3 games. At least Alisson was the starting keeper for Brazil. He plays 3 games. Fabinho will be in and out. Firmino will be in and out. And they come back. It will definitely affect the team. So you have to also consider the travel. But if you, let's say, all your top players are European and they are flying around the continent, it's not as bad. Because let's say your top players are French and they have to play, you're a Premier League club, your top players are French and they have to play, and France are playing Luxembourg and let's say Malta, not even Malta, Luxembourg and even Croatia. But Croatia is at home. So you fly to Paris, you play Croatia, tough game, then you fly to Luxembourg, just right around the corner. Not a long trip. You can probably an hour flight, play that. It's Luxembourg, low intensity, not that difficult. If they come back, the effort and fatigue the effort they've expended, the fatigue, is not the same as Casemiro, who might have had to play Argentina, Uruguay, and Chile. Or let's even say Argentina, Chile, and Bolivia. But Bolivia was away, so they went to play altitude. Yeah. So all these things really factor in. So I think it's very difficult to say that the international break, you have to consider the international break in question, where the players are going.
So you're saying that there are so many variables?
There are so many variables. So, but I think because top teams have so many players, because I remember Ancelotti said this when he was at Bayern, that it was difficult to get 2 straight days of training because after the game you have to rest and you don't want to exert them too much before the game, but you're also playing midweek. The international break where you're not playing, everyone is flying everywhere and all around to play games. So you're left with the 6 guys who are probably not playing that much anyway, which is why they are not on international duty to train with. It is a problem. So top teams definitely will suffer that, especially when your top players are all internationals. But if you look at a team that is not as full of internationals, let's use Crystal Palace, who have just sacked their coach as an example. It's a good time for their new coach to come in because I don't see as many internationals in the Crystal Palace team. They do have internationals, but not on their level. I mean, right now in the Premier League, every team has a certain number, but the level is not the same as, let's say, a team like Man City or Man United, who at least 75% of the squad will be going all over the world to do all sorts of different things.
Okay, interesting stuff. Look, you can continue the debate everywhere, but like Susu said, and like I also said, this is not a topic that is cut and dry. There are so many variables, but I'm sure you can have your own debates and see whether or not you like the international break or not. All right, let's get to the final bits of the show.